Russia's invasion of Ukraine is having a widespread impact.
The global economy, which is already in a tailspin from the pandemic, is feeling the weight of war. Over 2 million Ukrainians have fled the country. Police detained nearly 5,000 protesters in Russian cities over the weekend, and countless groups are being impacted by this conflict. But women and girls are being hit particularly hard. On this International Women's Day, experts warn that as they try to escape conflict zones, they're at an increased risk of sexual assault and rape.
Meanwhile, there are around 240,000 pregnant women in Ukraine. Since the invasion, they are often giving birth alone and in poor conditions. 80,000 of them are delivering in the next 3 months. One pregnant woman in Kyiv shared the terrible things she has witnessed while staying in the cellar of a maternity hospital in Ukraine's capital city.
So, women are giving birth just in here, in a basement. And they were all in blood because they had, for example, C-section. And then again, the alarm started and they need to go down. So basically, they didn't even have time to lie after the C-section. It's terrible. It's a terrible experience.
Joining us now is Jaime Nadal. He is the United Nations Population Fund representative in Ukraine. Jaime, welcome. You are in Ukraine, so tell us how the UN Population Fund functions during wartime. What are the logistics, and what are the services your organization can provide to women and girls there?
Well, thank you very much. And let me start by saying that the situation is completely dramatic. The scale of the disruption to the basic health services that women need in order to look after their reproductive health is completely disrupted. You said it. I mean, women are having their deliveries in makeshift shelters, in the basements of buildings, even in metro stations. And we're not talking hundreds, we're talking thousands here. And we are talking about a situation that is likely to worsen in the coming days and in the coming weeks unless the war stops. What UNFPA does, what the UN Population Fund does, is to provide supplies to hospitals, supplies to health providers, so they can perform those deliveries with some minimal conditions. I can give you the example, for instance, that we have kits, emergency kits, reproductive health kits that contain everything that is needed for a woman to have a clean delivery. And that can be given to the woman can take it with her, and whenever there is the moment of the delivery, it can be handed over to the health professional that will be providing assistance to her. But we also have other kits in case there is a need for a C-section, etc. But apart from the kits, I mean, this situation is so unnecessary. This situation is so dramatic, and it poses such a risk to the life of women for nothing, because there is nothing that justifies the situation that is happening these days in Ukraine. What we need, apart from delivering this humanitarian assistance, apart from having humanitarian corridors, apart from establishing supply lines that enable us to get the supplies to the hospitals, what we need is the war to stop.
That's right. Jaime, we understand that your organization has plans in place, as you were just walking us through, for the 80,000 women who are giving birth in the next 3 months. Is there a difference in plans for those who are evacuated, who are essentially refugees now, and those who are still stuck in Ukraine? And also, if you can speak to any protections, because we've heard so many reports from the refugees themselves about sexual violence.
Yes, that's correct. The situation, the distress caused by the war is affecting, of course, women who are staying behind in the areas affected by the war, but also women on the move. And we already have reports of a highly significant increase in the number of deliveries happening in Western Ukraine. Those are women on the move, pregnant women on the move, that are actually having their deliveries as they try to reach the border with Poland, with Slovakia, or with Hungary, or even with Moldova. So as they move, they are having their deliveries, and of course, it's putting pressure on the hospitals. And something very important, most of the supplies that the health sector utilizes in Ukraine are national supplies, are domestic supplies, are medicines that are procured at the country level. And the country is running out of those supplies. There are virtually, because of the disruption in the supply lines, there are virtually no supplies anymore in many of the hospitals. Essential medicines are lacking, and even doctors cannot perform those necessary surgeries and C-sections, etc.
And
women who are on the move are not just at risk of unsafe delivery, they are also at risk of falling into the trafficking networks that we know are already working, not just in Ukraine, but also in neighboring countries. And again, this is something that poses a huge risk for their life and the life of the children that travel with them.
all right, Jaime Nadal in Ukraine, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.